Welcome to the DBMS theory class. Uh, Today we will be taking up the third part of this unit 5, that is nothing but the crash recovery. When we talk about crash and when we talk about crash recovery, the intention was whatever transactions we are going to do, those transactions must be secure from the source end to the destination end. At any point of time, due to internet, due to network issue, due to database inconsistency, due to loss of data, at any point of time, error may happen. Then we abort the transaction. If it is successful, then we will commit the transaction. If it is successful, then we are going to commit the transaction. If it is failure, then we will abort the transaction. In such a case, let us look at what type of things may lead to unsuccessful transaction. It can be a logical error, that is some software error which was raised. So you have using a Google Pay account and you want to transfer 100 rupees to your friend. Now some problem came in the software, then that what we call it as logical error, where we call that one with an internal error condition. So that is software error. Next one was some system errors. So this system error, there may be a hang up in the database system with a deadlock. Third thing was system crash. All of a sudden you are transferring money and the laptop crashes, the desktop crashes, mobile phone broke up. So all this, they are going to say there is failure, power failure, battery out, so or other hardware or software failures. All these items, they are going to come up to a word called as a system crash. So system crash, yeah, they have numerous integrity checks. That is integrity checks, you are aware. It can be a primary key or a foreign key or a candidate key or a super key. So all these items, they may be corrupted on the disk, and finally the hard disk is going to fail. So such is an item where a disk failure is going to link up in the scenario. So altogether, what we talked about transaction failure was it can be a software error, or it can be a system error, or it can be a system crash, nor it can be a disk failure. So any of them, it is looking up towards a failure. Okay, now failure occurred. Now, are there any recovery mechanisms? Are there any recovery content? Yeah, first of all, we worked with acid properties. First of all, we worked with acid properties, and another will be iris, AIRES. So this iris, it is what we call it as a recovery algorithm. So when it is acid properties, it takes care of atomicity, it takes care of consistency in database, it says take care of isolation in database, and finally it takes care of durability in database. So that is, it is ensuring atomicity, consistency, durability, and isolation. So all that, they are going to happen for the recoverability of a database. So why we need recoverability algorithms? We must ensure that there is no failure. We must ensure that the database transactions are going very correctly. All the operations in the database happen without any virus, any bugs, any crash, any violation of atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability properties are totally met, and there the recovery is going to come into the scenario. Now, before we take part to the iris algorithm, first of all, we need to understand what is storage structure. So if it is a cache memory, if it is a main memory, we call it as the volatile memory. And if it is a surveillance on a system crash like a flash tape disk, then they are going to be call it as non-volatile memory. And stable storage, it is a mythical form of storage that it is going to survive all the failures. So it can be a cloud, it can be a database server. So at any point of time, at any point of time, data is available. At any point of time, data point is available, where we call it as a durability. So we have a Duracell batteries. So what is Duro there means? They tell that their batteries will last for long amount of time. That's why they call it as Duracell, the batteries. Similarly, they are stable. In the such the same formula, what we take up was data should be so secure, data should be so safe. At any point of time, data should be available. It should not be no loss of data in database. So at any point of time that it should be happen. So that was the thing. So when we store the things in the random access memory, then we are going to call it as volatile memory. When we store it on read-only memory, and then or a disk, whatever you call there, it is non-volatile, but still they are not secure. So at that case, we take up the storage, stable storage structures, where the stable storage structures, they may be a cloud platforms, etc. Now, altogether, there is a memory. Memory is partitioned into cells. What is a cell? Cell, it is going to have address part, and second it is going to have the data part. One, it is going to have the address part, another it is going to have the data part. So these cells, they constitute to disk block. So this cell, they are going to constitute to a disk block. Now when we take up a hard disk structure, when we take up a hard disk structure, it will be in plates, etc. So we will see a hard disk in a model in such a way. We call one as sectors, another we call it as tracks. So this is the holistic view of data. Now on the tracks, the disk blocks are going to be occurred. On the tracks, the disk blocks are going to be occurred. This is a disk block here. So what is a disk block? It is going to store something, something towards a data. So what will be the content towards a disk block? That is, one, we call it as a physical blocks. These are going to reside over the secondary storage device. And next comes the buffer blocks. They are going to be temporarily residing in the random access memory, that is the main memory. We call them as a buffer blocks. So what we can do is, there is a block movement between the hard disk and the random access memory. Random access memory, we call it as main memory. And what we can do either an input operation or we can do a output operation. So that is all the background what we need to understand in the disk. So disk, it is going to organize into tracks and sectors. Every sector it is going to have a block. Blocks, they are having a cell, and cells, they are representing two parts, one as an address part, another as a data part. And if they are going to be part of the secondary storage devices, then they are going to be called it as physical blocks. If they are a part of the primary memory, then they are going to call it as a buffer blocks, where we can do a input operation or an output operation. Now, whatever operations we do over the content on a data, we say it is log. So it is going to be kept as a stable storage. So log, it is going to be a sequence of log records, and they are going to maintain all the updates which are going to be happened on the database. So let us have one more introduction at this part. So in the offline mode, you have lab. There the programmers, they ask you to enter into the logbook. So you write your system number, you write your name, and then you give at what time you entered, at what time you left the lab. So a logbook, it is going to give a sequence. So whoever entered the lab, they are going to enter into the record. So why? Because we need to have an updated information. The people who are entering into the lab, we need to have that information. So that is the physical concept. Now let us see towards the logbook in the caller ID. So you have a word called as a dialer, right? You have a dialer in mobile phone. You have a dialer in your mobile phone. So you make your calls. Then what does it show? It gives when the call occurred on all the transactions. So the call, it came on 31st, it came on 27th, it came on 24th, it came on 25. So in this way, it will show you it came at 10 a.m., at 24th, it came at 11 a.m., and 27th, it came at 12 noon, and 31st, it came at 6 p.m. In this way, all the calls are going to be given in the details, right? You check your friend phone, mobile, which is frequent to you, you hit on the details, then it will show you all the calls which came to you from the last 5 or 10. So database is going to be maintained by the telecom to make a log. So all these entries, we call it as log. So they are going to give up a order, whoever had made the calls, etc. That order, it is going to be maintained. So a log, it is going to be a stable storage, and it is going to have a log record here, and every log for every transaction, it is going to be recorded. So transaction TI is going to start, and then we put it with a log record. So TI or TJ, whatever you call, it is representing the transaction, and it is beginning the start option. So that is the beginning entry. Okay, now what we have done, we were taking the write operation here, that is xi. We are making the write operation, we are doing the write operation. And now v1 and v2, they are going to be called as values. v1 and v2, they are going to call it as values here. v1 is called the previous value, and v2, it is called the present value. In place of previous, we call it as old. In place of present, we call it as new. Okay, so What is log here? Log, it is giving up the transaction ID. It is giving up the transaction ID. Then it is making an entry whether it is a read or write. Then it is going to give value 1, value 2. So all this chain or all this sequence of sequence of operations are mentioned here. Sequence of operations, they are going to be mentioned here. Once a transaction is going to be done, finally we make it as commit. That is nothing but we make it as permanent. In order to make the transaction as a permanent, now we are going to implement this with a commit operation. So a log based recovery, it is maintaining a log. Log consists of a state and it is having a transaction ID. It is going to have the previous state. It is going to have the present state. Then it mentions what type of operation we are making on the log. And finally, if the transaction was successful, then it is going to make a commit operation. This is all regarding the log based recovery. So now, in this log based recovery, we need to understand two words. One, we are going to call it as an undo operation. Another, we are going to call it as redo operation. So undo operation, we move to a step, one step previous, right? And redo operation, we move to the next step. So in MS Word or any type of Word application, we have these two operations. One we call it as undo operation, another we call it as redo operation. Mostly when we are going to use this undo operation, then we look with an operation towards rollback, go to previous, or we want to suspend the transaction, or we want to kill the transaction at that case. So there we are going to use a word called as an aborting of a transaction. So if we want to abort the transaction, then we are going to use a undo operations. So from the undo operation, now we want to move to the previous next, then we are going to use this value called as redo operation. Now let us say there is a line like this, 10, 20, 30. Now your pointer was at 20. Now you made undo, then you will go to state number 10. Then you will go to state number 10. If we are going to move up with redo operation, then you are going to the next state. So this is present state and this is previous and this is next state. So now you should understand what is undo and you should understand what to redo here. Now when I am talking about redo, it is saying that it contains transaction TIR. X, it is going to mention write, that is the first one. V1 is the old value, V2 is the new value. So we are making the write the old value to X. Next one, what we take up was a redo operation. In this redo operation, what we are going to do, Tij is a transaction, X it is pointing out to write, Vi it is pointing out to old, and V2 it is pointing out to the new. So 1 it is pointing out to the transaction ID, 2 it is pointing out the writing ID, 3 it is pointing out the old value, and this one is pointing to the new value. So when I am going to use a redo operation, it is making a new. It is making a new. Now when I am going to do it with an undo operation, it is moving to the previous, that's we call it as old. So you should understand, when we do a undo operation, we are moving one step backward. When we are using a redo operation, we are moving towards one step to the next. So on a transaction, in order to make a abort operation, we are going to use this undo, which is going backward, which it is going to move to the previous, that is nothing but we call it as a backward state. And second one, when we are going to a backward state, we need to restore the values of the old, not to the new. We need to restore the values of the previous state, but not to the present state. So we need to update the log with the abort. Next one, if we are moving with a redo operation, so it is going to update all the transactions. It is going to have the new values. So 10, then it goes to 20, then it goes to 30. In this way, it is committing with the new values, and there is no logging at this case. The reason was, already different values has been given to that state. Now all the values are given, so it moves from previous state to next. It is going to move to the chaining model from old state to the new state. So that is the reason why we don't have the logging here at the redo operation. So what we talked about recovery was, recovery, it is going to be purely based on two states. What are the two states? It is going to be undo state, or it is going to be a redo state. So when we want to make a transaction either to commit, or when we want to make a transaction either to do, either to redo, we need to have a concept towards recovering from failure. So recovering from failure, it takes with logging, and that log, it uses undo and redo operations, where they look for aborting a transaction, or they look for committing the transaction. Aborting the transaction will take care of the rollback operation. Now, when a recovery was after failure, now you can see here the transaction, it is going to say TI is a transaction, then we have a start here, and it does not contain the record whether to go with commit or whether to go with a abort. But when it is going to be redone, now again there is again a choice whether to commit a transaction or whether there is a uh, abort to a transaction. So we have two operations, one with undo or another with redo. So undo and redo, they are going to operate right from start to end. They are going to operate from start to commit. They are going to enter from start to commit, and they do with undo operation or they do with redo operation. So a failure will occur because there is a choice what to do, whether to go with a commit or whether to go with a abort. So there these two operations are going to be in a choice. To eliminate the choice, we are now working with checkpoints. To eliminate those chores, we are going to work with a checkpoint. So when we are going to add a checkpoint, that means I can say I have 100 instructions. So 1, 2, 3, in this way I have 50th instruction, then I have 100 instruction. Now assume I'm going to put 50 as a checkpoint. If I go to the previous, now I'm going to put a safe point. I'm going to have a safe point. So up to 50, everything is correct. So you make a checkpoint at 50. From 50 to 100, we can't guarantee whether they are correct or not. But up to 50, everything is fine. So in this way, we are going to make a checkpoint, and when we make a undo operation, we will directly go to the checkpoint, and up to that state, we can say it is going to be permanent. There we can start committing the operations. So undoing and redoing of a record can be done over a log, and it is going to be very slow. So, or it is going to be a time consuming, or it is going to have a longer period of time. So what we can do is, in order to streamline, where periodically we do a checkpointing. So what is this checkpointing was, whoever are going to enter, or whoever are going to occur in the memory onto the stable storage. That is, we have the random access memory to the stable storage, who whatever transaction is going to happen, those transactions it is going to put a checkpoint. That is point number one. Second one, output all modified disk blocks, buffer blocks in the disk. So buffer blocks, they are going to be pointed out on the random access memory. Next one, we can make a write log, that is, we are going to call it as an X. So write logs, they are going to put with a checkpoint onto the stable storage. Stable storage, it is nothing but permanent storage of database. Stable storage, it is nothing but the permanent storage of a database. And L, we are going to say some list of the transactions. L, we are going to call it as list of the transactions, and all updates are going to be stopped during checkpoints. So we talked about checkpoint. So assume that we are executing some C program, and what we do is, we want to debug it. We put some checkpoint up to line number 5, error is not coming. Maybe error is coming from line number 5 to etc. That means, what is your confidence? The confidence was from line number 1 to line number 5, there is no error. So that is all permanent. So all the instructions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 instructions are permanent. That is your confidence. As it is permanent, then you can go with commit operation. Commit operation, it is going to be taken place in the permanent storage of a database. So when we are using an undo operation, or when we are going to use a redo operation, it is going to be some time consuming process. To eliminate the time consuming process, people are going to work with the checkpoints, and these checkpoints, they are going to happen right from random access memory to the stable storage, or they can be directly worked on the random access memory as part of temporary storage locations, which we are going to call them as buffers. And similarly, it is going to be appended towards a write operation, and whatever transactions are going to be there, those transactions, they are going to be listed out, and that listed out operations, we are going to record it as L, and in this way we are going to point out with the check operations. So now this was a clear-cut indication of how a checkpoint is going to happen. So now assume that you made a checkpoint at 1 p.m. and then you made a checkpoint at 2 p.m. You made a checkpoint at 3 p.m. Now at 4 p.m. system was corrupted. At 4 p.m. system was corrupted. So what we can do? First of all, we will see one state ahead, previous state. What we call? We call it as rollback, or we call it as abort, or we are going to call here a state called as undo operation. Similarly, you are not satisfied with this point, again you can undo, to the state what we are going to look up. Now from this state, you want to make all transactions as permanent. So you press here as a commit operation. Then you move from T1 to T2. What we call this operation? We call this operation as a redo operation. We call such operation here as a redo operation. So we went with a redo operation here. So this is redo operation. Now again you came to a state called as T2, and T2 you made again committed all transactions which are not stored in database as stable storage. Then you are going to turn on commit. Once you made a commit, then you are going to make a redo operation. So in this way we shift from one state to another state. So putting T1, putting T2, putting T3, a point as an indicator, as a flag value. So this items we are going to call as a checkpoint. So why we use a checkpoint? Because to ensure stable storage, to ensure all the transactions are going to be permanent into the database. So assume at 4 p.m. there was a system failure. Then in your mind, you know that at every 1 hour you are giving some checkpoint. First you go to the previous state. How can I go to the previous state? I didn't made any commit operation. So obviously you have to go with an operation called as rollback. So using a rollback, we call it as an undo phase. Again, we move from the checkpoint to the previous checkpoint. So there we do another undo operation. So here you are going to make an undo operation, another undo operation, and then this is a state where you have to make all the transactions are effective, all the transactions are permanent. You make the transactions as permanent. How can I make the transactions as a permanent? You hit the command called as commit, so that the instructions, the transactions at that case will be freezed. So you are at T1. Now you want to move from T1 to T2. How you can move? You can move with a command called as a redo operation. Redo is effected to change your state from T1 to T2. From T1 to T2. Now you came to T2 state. Now again at T2 state, whatever transactions are uncommitted, you are going to commit the transactions, and after committing the transactions, now you are going to move to the T3 state. So moving from T2 state to the T3 state, we call that state as a redo operation. So once you made a redo operation, then you come from T2 state to T3 state, and finally you hit a commit. So what it guarantees? It is going to guarantee that at any point of time, data is safe, data is not inconsistent, data is consistent, and it is meeting all type of integrity constraints. It is affecting with atomicity, it does have isolation. So in this way, every concept what a database need to be fulfilled, all those items are going to be ensured. How they are ensured? They are going to be ensured with the checkpoints. Fine. Now we talked about undo, we talked about redo, then we talked about log, and we have two statements. What are those two statements? That we call it as commit, or we call it as rollback. So these are the buzzwords, right? Commit and rollback, A and B. Then we talked about undo phase, we talked about redo phase, and then we are talking about log record. We are talking about log record. So now what does this recovery algorithm do? What does this recovery algorithm made up of? So recovery algorithm was, we call it as ARIES. Recovery algorithm. Now we are going to name it as ARIES. That is algorithm for recovery and isolation exploiting semantics. So in order to see that no crash in database or recovery of database from cache is going to happen with ARIES algorithm. That is the rule. So there was some bug in the database. Database has been lost. Database has been crashed. Now you need to recover the database. How? It is with buzzwords called as commit, buzzwords called as rollback, buzzwords with undo, buzzword with redo, and buzzword with log record. All these items are put together. All these items are put together in an algorithm, and that name of an algorithm we are going to call it as ARIES. That is, the full form was algorithm for recovery, isolation, exploiting, semantics. So using this algorithm, if a database has been crashed, we can get back the content. So what is the recovery algorithm? Recovery algorithm is going to have undo phase, it is going to have a redo phase, it is going to have a log record, and finally it does work with commit and rollback. And finally it does work with a commit and rollback. Next one. Next comes the recovery algorithm. So in recovery algorithm, we are going to have logging. So whenever a transaction is to start, that is when a transaction is started, it must be noted, right? So you make a phone call, immediately in your dialer, it says you made a phone call. You got a missed call. Immediately in your dialer, there will be a missed call. So whatever transactions you do in a mobile, everything is going to be recorded. That recording book, the recording location, the recording sequence, what we make, we call that item here as a logging. We call that item as a logging. So logging, it is meant with a sequence. It is meant with a state. How is a state record? How is a state recorded? State is going to be recorded with the transaction ID followed by the start command. State is going to be recorded with a transaction ID and a start command. Next, it is taking up X. X can be either a read operation, X can be write operation, or any other operation related. And V1, it is pointing out to the old value, and V2, it is pointing out to the new value. V1, it is pointing out to the old value. V2, it is going to point out to the new value. And finally, when a transaction was successful, now the transaction need to be committed. That is nothing but it should be permanently stored into the database. Durability property, ACID. D stands for durability. It is to be in a stable storage. So making the database transaction in a stable storage, and it should be for years. So we make it as a permanent. So that is where we are going to call here as a commit operation. So a logbook does has a start, then it is going to have a transaction, then it does a state called as X, which can be recording or a read of a database or a write of a database, any other operations over a database in a transaction. Then it can be V1 and V2. V1 is pointing out to the old state, V2 is going to point out to the new state, that is going to be called as an updated state. And finally the transaction is going to see that it is permanent. So for that we are going to make a transaction as a committed. Now, this is totally successful. This is totally successful way of putting the things. Now, what abnormalities will happen? Abnormalities, yes, they happen to solve with undo phase. They happen to solve with redo phase. We talked about logging record right now. Now we do need to understand what is undo. We need to understand what is redo. So we are aware that undo it is moving to the previous transaction, redo it moves to the next transaction. So undo state, we go there, see that what are uncommitted transactions and we make them as committed. Then if there is any transaction which is not necessary, we will abort the transaction. If we feel that the transaction is correct and the transaction is needed, we commit the transaction. From that state, we come to the next state. That where we go with the redo operation. So next comes the transaction rollback. When we are going to say it is a rollback, we are going to the previous state, that is can log backward. That is, we need to go to the previous state. We need to move to the previous state. How we can move to the previous state? You have to pull back. So pulling you back, we call here as a rollback state. We call that operation as a rollback state. So now here you can see that now you need to move from V2 to V1. Now you need to move from V2 to V1. So exit is going to indicate the write operation. So you need from new state to the old state. Now you need to migrate from new state to the old state. So how you can go? You can go with a redo, you can go with an undo operation with the rollback. So for that we are going to use this abort. For that we are going to use a command called as a abort of the transaction. Similarly, if we are going to work with a read, this is we have already talked about undo phase. Now we are going to have this redo phase. So redo phase, what it is going to do was it is going to replay all the updates of a transactions. Whatever are not going to be committed, it committed. Whatever to be aborted, they are going to be aborted. Whatever are incomplete, they are going to be deleted. So all that chose is going to be taken up in a redo phase. So undo phase, it is moving up to the backward state and sees that whatever uncommitted transactions are there. For that you are going to use a rollback or you are going to make a aborting of a transaction. So now we will be finding out the checkpoint here. So at what point the crash happened? At what point the crash is going to happen? We need to identify at what point the crash has happened. Then we need me to make L. L it is going to be list of transactions. L it is going to be list of transactions, and we will scan forward right from one transaction to the another transaction, and then we will verify from start to commit whether they need to be committed or whether they need to be aborted. So whatever the things are to be in undo list, whatever list are to be permanent, everything is going to be recorded. So we will pause here for today. Before we pause, we will just have a quick recap of what we started today. So in today's class, we mentioned with a topic called as crash recovery. So crash recovery will happen with software error, or crash recovery will happen with hardware error. While you are working, all of a sudden your mobile phone fell down and it is not working, then it is a hardware error. All of a sudden your mobile phone was struck, there was a problem in the software what you are with your mobile phone, so obviously it is leading to a software error. So there is a chance for a system crash. So how we can come out from a system crash was, there we need to have a log, we need to have a logbook. So before we go to the logbook, recovery can preserves the 4 states of a database. One, at most one transaction has to be done. So second one, consistent at any point of time, database to be consistent. How was the previous state? How was the next state? Everything should be very stable. And third, multiple transactions can happen at a time, but no two transactions know that each transaction is going on. And fourth, the data should be very stable. The data should be so stable that at any point of time, database is not going to be lost. So we call that item here as a stable storage. So in general, databases can be accumulated in the random access memory, the volatile memory, or they can be accumulated in the C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive. We call them as the non-volatile storages, or in your pen drive, that is flash memory. And finally, they can be stored in a server, or they can be stored in the cloud, where we are going to say it is a stable storage. So how a database is going to be stored? It is in the hard disk, where it is meant with the tracks and sectors. In tractors, it is going to have a disk block. Disk block consists of 2 parts. One we call it as an address part, another we call it as a data block. And these, they are going to be part in C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive. Then it is residing in a disk. We call them as physical blocks. But if the same disk blocks, they are brought to the random access memory, the 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM in your laptop, then they are going to be called as a buffer blocks. So we need to move data from buffer blocks to the physical block, that is from hard disk to the random access memory, or vice versa. So most of the things we do with input and output operations. So while doing this input and output operations, we need to have a log. So I gave you a physical example. You can recollect whenever you enter into the lab in our colleges. So the programmer will ask you to enter into the logbook. So you give your number, what system you are sitting, at what time you are entering, at what time you are leaving. So what is the programs you are done. So everything you are going to put. So why? Because to see that the computer, what you are going to see, should be in a stable state. So if you there is a correct at that point, then they have to see that the system will go to the previous state. For that, they are going to use a logbook. So log sequence, it is going to have a transaction ID followed by the start of a transaction, and followed by write, followed by the write operation. So then it is implemented with V1 and V2. V2 will be the old new value, V1 will be the old value. So that is going to be updated. When we are going to work with an undo phase, we will go to the previous state, and when we are going to work with the redo phase, we will move to the next phase. So almost in an undo phase, we will be using a command called as a rollback, so that we will abort the transaction. When we are going to see towards a redo operation, we mostly see that the transactions will be permanent. So we talked about undo, we talked about redo, and there are some lag at this redoing and undoing. It is very slow and time consuming process. To eliminate that, people went to a new concept called as a checkpoint. So this checkpoint, where they are going to put at the random access memory to the server database, to the stable storage, or they are going to include it at the buffer blocks in the random access memory. And how is it the checkpoints recorded? We get a checkpoint, and with the list of transactions which they are going to be marked as L here. And then this is a classical example here. So at this point of time, assume at 4 p.m. there was a system crash, your mobile phone dropped and it stopped working. That means up to 3 o'clock your mobile phone was working very well. So there it says, it will put a checkpoint. So first of all, people, the hardware engineer, he moves from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. state. Then he want to move from 4 p.m. state to 3 p.m. to recover all your WhatsApp messages. So what he is going to do is, he is going to make a rollback. So using a rollback, he is going to abort the transactions. So he is going to move to an undo state. Then similarly, he goes up to one after the other up to 1 p.m. So from 1 p.m. he starts back up the data and he makes it permanent. So at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. whatever transactions you made, he is going to put it into the database. He is going to store it and then he is going to commit. From 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. you need to move forward. So for that he is going to use a redo operation. So at that redo operation, whatever database operations you are made, that operations has to be recorded. If it is not it is not stored clearly, then it is going to abort the transactions, kill the transactions. But the transactions are needed, the transactions are correct, then the database administrator, he is going to put this into a commit state. In this way, he goes from one checkpoint to another checkpoint. From T1 to T2, he do a redo operation, make all the transactions as permanent. Then he comes from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. He makes all the database transactions which were to be updated. He makes it to commit. And once it is committed, then it says that database is in stable storage and all the data is safe and secure. In this way, we are going to work with the checkpoint. So we talked about commit, rollback, undo, redo, and log record. So all these operations are unified. All these operations are put together in an algorithm, and that algorithm we are going to call it as a recovering algorithm. And the name of the algorithm we call it as AIRES. That is algorithm for recovery, isolation, exploiting, and semantics. So that is all for today. What we learned. In tomorrow's class, we will look in detail regarding the IRES algorithm.